भजन लो गुरुजी.
हाँ.
नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर. नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर. हर हर शंकर महादेवा. हर हर शंकर महादेवा. हर 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 महादेवा. हर 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 महादेवा. शिव 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 सदा शिवा. शिव 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 सदा शिवा. महादेवा सदा शिवा. महादेवा सदा शिवा. सदा शिवा महादेवा. सदा शिवा महादेवा. नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर. हर हर शंकर महादेवा. हर 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 महादेवा. शिव 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 सदा शिवा. महादेवा सदा शिवा. सदा शिवा महादेवा. नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर.
ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Hari Om friends, welcome to Yuva Chaitanya, and we are now progressed in self-unfoldment, our chapter 8. We are on the second topic, and that is the Japa, technique of rosary. And we have just covered 13th paragraph, and we are to begin now with 14. So now on 13, we have seen the various forms of worship have been provided. Various forms: Shiva, Rama, Krishna, Govinda, or Devi, Shanmukha, etc. Various forms are provided for worship according to the different types of men and their different stages of evolution. These are the, you can say, permutation combination. Very many forms are available for worship, for japa, mantra japa. This is to suit the different temperaments of the people, the seekers, and also among those seekers, there are different stages of spiritual progress. So this is one. So the example is given for the child, how it learns with a big scroll of letters, how it learns to write the letters by first drawing a big letter Later on, as it gets acquainted and habitual, then it can draw small letters. That was the illustration given. Point is, person must acquire the power of concentrating his thoughts by fixing the mind first upon the divine forms or symbols, and then, after a fair success therein, he tries to fix his attention upon the formless divine presence. This is the important part of the para. So the power of concentration is a prime requirement, preliminary requirement for meditation. One must devote his entire attention to the object of meditation. This being the requirement, we have to practice the concentration part of it first. Now, in practicing the concentration part of it, the various forms of worships and various mantras for japa are recommended. And this was just to suit the different temperaments of the spiritual seeker. And among all those spiritual seekers, the different stages of their evolution, spiritual evolution. So accordingly, so many are there. Now, the question is the Saguna Upasana and Nirguna Upasana. Now, there was one thought put up by one Swamiji that Saguna Upasana is for the, I think, concentration or something. Or Nirguna, there is nothing like Nirguna Upasana. There is an attainment of Brahman, Upalabdhi, it is said. So Saguna Upasana is Upasana, and Nirguna Upasana is not Nirguna Upasana, it is the Brahma Upalabdhi. So this is not in line with what our Swamiji has said here. Here Swamiji has accepted that both are Upasanas, and they are the stages of concentration of mind. The first stage is concentrating upon the form and the name, the japa for the name and the form in front of that. So name and form association, with that it is recommended for Saguna Upasana. Now here the important thing is by fixing our mind first upon the divine forms and symbols. So learning to fix our mind on these different forms and through the mantra japa. Then after a fair success therein, he tries to fix his attention upon the formless divine presence. So there the attention word is important in Nirguna Upasana, and in Saguna Upasana the power of concentration is to be built up. These are suggested here. So in both the cases, upasanas are there, no doubt about it. In Gita chapter 12, Arjuna asked this question, whether Saguna Upasana do I take or I do go in for the Nirguna Upasana. So he say, there we have, there it is referred that both are Upasanas only, whether Saguna or Nirguna. So this is one part of it. And the second one, in practicing the Nirguna Upasana, it is only fixing our attention. Therefore, in meditation, Swamiji has given a common instruction. Watch your thoughts is a common instruction. So first for the Upasana with form and symbols, there we have to control the thoughts restricted to only the name and form that is chosen for Upasana. So in this Saguna Upasana, it begins with this. that the upasya is mine. Upasya is mine. This is with which the upasaka begins. And the end of this Saguna Upasana is I belong to Upasya, the otherwise aspect. So he surrendered himself and he belongs to the Upasya. Earlier he was saying it is my Upasya. Now he's saying I belong to Upasya. So this is the difference with which the Saguna Upasana is concluded. Then in case of Nirguna Upasana, there Swamiji asks us to only watch the thoughts. They are being watched only so that they go for the good, leaving the mind thoughtless. Because what is to be sought in Nirguna Upasana is Nirguna Brahman, the ultimate truth or the infinite reality. And for that, there are no thoughts in the reality. But without reality, there cannot be thoughts. With this in mind, we can say that the watching, paying the attention to the thoughts will help us, help the thoughts to go away, leaving the within empty. It is necessary to empty our thoughts so that we can proceed towards attainment of the Nirguna Brahma. This was the 13th para was that way a very important para, very essentials of Japa Yoga or the Saguna Upasana was discussed there. Do you have anything additional in this? This we have, last time we have discussed this from a different standpoint. 13th para was already discussed. So do you have anything more to contribute?
Guruji, this aspect of Saguna Upasana being an important stepping stone towards Nirguna Upasana, what is the perspective on that?
Important. What is that?
I'm not referring to the text right now, but in a lot of general readings, I come to read that unless you do Saguna Upasana properly, Nirguna Upasana is not easy. So
is not unless you do Saguna.
So how is I just wanted to know how do we respond to that?
Point is here, the mind cannot conceive a thing without form. As it is, the mind cannot conceive anything without form. Mind always has some form to be conceived, and then for identification it gives it a name. Whereas the Nirguna Upasana, there is no name and form involved. This is the basics for the difference. So the Saguna Upasana is, in fact, is the beginning of it, so that you get qualified for Nirguna Upasana. In the Saguna Upasana, the concentration is practiced, and in the concentration, what is the idea of concentration? Come on, now we'll go into these details.
Focusing on one thought, to deliberate focusing on one thought to the exclusion of all others.
Now this is okay as a definition, but concentrating on a one thought itself means what? Now in front is only the form, and what we are chanting is only the name. In Japa Yoga, we have seen already that for Vedantic student, Japa Yoga is an auxiliary means for that. So now here, concentration. When do you say the concentration is perfect? What is the criterion for that? Swamiji has given instructions.
Immediately one or two thoughts strike. One is that if I want to focus my thoughts on one particular thought, it should be easily possible. I should not take too long to be able to focus on that thought. And while I'm focusing on that thought, then there should be no distraction.
That is ideal, to be able to concentrate on one thought at the exclusion. This is okay. But how do you check whether you are really able to concentrate? That's the point related to this para, important point. Because it is mainly Japa Yoga, is practice for concentration and purity. So dissimilar thoughts not entering, we are taking care of the purity of it. But concentrating on a given thought, how do we measure the sense of concentration of the mind? How do we know that, yes, now the mind is concentrated?
Sir, in the previous para, it is mentioned by Swamiji that to feel his presence within and try to visualize Lord exactly as in the picture.
Yes.
That is the way you can feel that his presence is around and within you, and the gracious holy blessings. This para, the ending of 2 lines, I think it
you
is
have
been
identified the important portion, and there you are saying about feeling the presence, that is next. But before
Yes.
that, the idea of concentration has to be clear, and for that the same para is to be made use of.
Okay.
These are exercises. No, simple instruction is chant the name of the Lord, do japa. This is all right. But the purpose of that for a Vedantic seeker is to build in mental concentration. And this mental concentration is to be applied for contemplative effort on the meaning of Mahavakyas.
The first thing is,
So,
if the Lord is Lord Rama, then all my thoughts should be related to Lord Rama. That I have to introspect. While thoughts are coming in my mind, I have to be away from those thoughts, and I have to think. If other thoughts are coming, I have to disrespect those thoughts, and the thoughts regarding Lord Rama, any of Lord Rama's virtue or story, like that I have to imagine in my mind. That is the first level where dissimilar thoughts are not to be paid attention to. And
so that will take care of distraction of the mind.
So now mind
is positively concentration.
Yes, now mind is thinking only, the subject is Rama only, but thoughts are many. So then I have to reduce that and try to concentrate on one particular guna of Rama, or the thing that I would like to learn from it. Like that I have to reduce. If I'm observing it, then I have to observe the whole from top to bottom. I have to keep on looking at that idol, and then fix my vision either on the smile. Like physical form is one thing which I'm observing, and then I have to shift to the something like smile or kindness in the eyes, like that. So from physical,
this is one aspect of it, but it is incomplete by itself.
And then when I see this, then I have to visualize the form also and think on it also. And then slowly I have to shift my attention to the mantra that I am chanting, the meaning of that mantra. Like that, I have to keep on narrowing the subject on which my thoughts are there. And at the same
narrowing.
time, to be,
Narrowing you are using.
yes. And at the same time, I have to keep watching also. So there is dual thing I have to do. I have to think also and watch also.
You have come, like Shobha, you have also come to the very closely to that portion concerned.
And here,
Now we have to hit, because we need to understand in concise manner.
the final thing that we can say is when I'm not aware about my surroundings.
Not aware?
Meaning, I'm not aware about my surroundings. In the sense, if I'm sleeping, if someone comes and goes, I'm not aware of that. So if same thing happens while chanting the name, that some, of course, some family members will be there or something will be going on here and there. If I'm not disturbed because of that, or I'm not even aware about that, then I'm fully concentrated with it. So that is one check.
Okay. Anyone else would like to try?
So this awareness about the body should go on reducing. That is also one of the checkpoint, because we are keeping it steady. So that is the purpose, that our consciousness should not be on our physical body, but totally focused in our mind.
That will happen, provided our efforts are in the right direction. It will happen. We don't control the consciousness. We make the suitable conditions of the mind so that the consciousness is, concentrated. Whatever you said is okay. But we now, what I think is that it is going from perception to conception. Perception is there when you are looking at the idol. But when you close your eyes and try to recall the same details of the perception, then your ability to conceive improves. In terms of this ability to conceive is our concentration. First, you are asked to look out physically, look at the idol, mark out all the details, and then close your eyes. Swamiji has given the method. Close your eyes, and then you must be able to imagine the same details as you have seen, perceived physically. So the perception is the basis, conception is built up by practice. When conception is built up, you are able to visualize. You need not see physically the idol. Wherever you are able to mentally visualize or mentally conceive the details of your deity, and while chanting the mantra. So this ability to conceive the mental conception, what you have already seen as physical details. So from perception to conception, and the conception, to the extent it is true to perfect perception, to that extent the concentration is checked. This is what I think. I've thought over it, and now I invite comments if you are thinking something different. Swamiji gives us a direct method. Look out from top to bottom, bottom to top. Completely give full scope to your physical perception. Observe all the minor details, and then close your eyes and see whether you are able to conceive the same details as you have perceived. So the conception power has to be improved in concentration. The conception power, because when you will be contemplating upon that, it will be the reality without form. Now here it is with form. but the reality is without form. So here Swamiji has used the word the divine presence. Formless divine presence is the word, last word. So this, when it comes to formless thing, your concentration must be so much. Capacity to conceive should be so much. So that conception true to perception is the measure of concentration. See, if you agree with this or you have any different ideas. Mind's ability to conceive ideas, because the next step is the contemplation upon that which is formless, which is the very divinity in us, the reality. Yes, your views.
Guruji, I don't, somehow I feel that imagining something which is formless, let's say the sky, is easier because it is easier to locate distractions, because anything with a form, the moment it comes, we can remove it. But when we can remove it, we can try to exclude it from the mind. But when it comes to concentrating on a particular form, I find it a little tricky, because within every form there is more and more level of complication, and the mind keeps getting lost into that complication only all the time. So there is no stability to them. Any form, it can be a form of Lord Rama, it can be a Shivalinga, whichever it is.
Any one form.
Any one form.
Any form.
Any one form. I'm not saying multiple forms, but any one form. The mind, I don't know, the mind does a lot of tricks actually. It first zooms in, then zooms out, then it imagines some puja that had happened. So with a form, there is scope for distraction because there is a lot of context. But if I take something like sky, the sky doesn't change at all. So the ability for me to remove distractions is better. I mean, I don't know. I'm just sharing.
So this is the topic which is taken up. Also, our next topic, pitfalls in the japa, where the mind is likely to go. That is another thing. But now we are positively discussing what is concentration and what is the check for this. How do we say that mind is concentrated? Without physically seeing the thing, if mind can conceive that in all details, then the concentration level is appreciable. That's what I was trying to express. So here in the Saguna Upasana, though it is there in front of us for perception, so we may to start with perceive all the details from top to bottom, etc. Then we may also fix up on a smile, like Moini has suggested. Among that, now all deities will not have a smile. There are two types of deities. The deities that will threaten for the disciplinary action if you go wrong in your performance, and there are deities who are with love, so they will be smiling. So otherwise all the other deities, the eyes are very angry eyes. This is required. At certain types of seekers, some kind of fear is required for them to control in the beginning, because they themselves are not understood why should they control. Therefore, some discipline is required, some laws are required, and that is why some of the deities are with eyes, angry eyes and all that. So there is one kind of thing. When you come to appreciate this kind of system and discipline, self-discipline and being systematic, then you will find that the Lord is loving. So this is a progress in that. Now we are not discussing that aspect. What we are discussing is whatever may be your deity that you have chosen, it is Ishta Devata, whatever it has an appeal, And once chosen, then we physically perceive the form. It is associated with the mantra. So name and form association we have chosen. And now, having perceived it in all details, we will take our own time. Then we have to close the eyes and recall all the details mentally. So the mental conception, ability to conceive all those details that we have perceived, will be the check for concentration. Suppose if you are not able to conceive a particular part of the form, then again you have to open your eyes, perceive them, and again close your eyes and practice. This kind of practice will help us concentrate in our mental conception of the Lord. Because this conception is to be extended when we will be contemplating upon the formless divine presence. That was the last word in the para, formless divine presence. For that, it has no particular form. And then we have to concentrate on that, means imagine with closed eyes or half closed eyes, whatever it is, we have to conceive that. Whatever the concept given about the divine presence, we must be able to conceive that. So therefore, this practice of concentration, for the practice of concentration, the practice of Japa technique is introduced, and it becomes an auxiliary aid for the Vedanta seeker, whose main job is the contemplative effort. And here, Saguna Upasana with form, etc., is a helpful first step towards that. Is there anything in this 13th para to be discussed further? We are now proceeding.
Imagine in our mind the form of Lord is sometimes difficult because we are not actually seeing it as a live person. To imagine live person, lively, right? So when a person, suppose one person is there in front of me, then I can hear the voice, I can see 3D image, right? I can see the person moving, I can note all the features, and it happens automatically. So as we remember the person easily, which is with us, near us, it is very, very easy. But in case of the idol or the picture, it becomes slightly difficult, and for that we have to see it again and again many times, and then mind imagines it from all the 5 points, and that is how the from say all 5 senses, and then it forms the image, because it is in either in 2D or even if it is in 3D, it is not having any movement. So if at all we have any, so for example, I see the picture, but if I see it in the movie, then many other details I can capture. For example, for Lord Ram, if I have picture, then it will be better if I have a movie in which some story is there, then I can imagine it more. So mind needs more and more points to weave it together, the image, and then the image is formed in the mind. So that much time it takes. For me, it is difficult if only picture is there and do. But one more thing is the lamp that we light in our puja room, that that light of that particular oil lamp or ghee lamp, in that light, if all other artificial lights are absent, only that light is present, then it helps more to see the form inside.
Yes. Now in this, the 2D, 3D, etc., if we can see, many times, instead of the deity, the guru is taken up for the concentration and meditation, because guru is a lively person, and from his behavior, action, from his thoughts, from various levels we can concentrate our powers of perception. We can look at him. So as a next to that, when we have said that Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, therefore the Guru representing the ultimate reality. Therefore, we can have the scope of even physical details and the mental qualities, then the particular thoughts related to the reality. All this we can practice it lively. Again, it becomes Saguna Upasana only. So now, if uh, gods as such, even the Rama, Krishna, or Shiva, they were human beings. Please note this. They have studied the knowledge of the self and they became great, like God men. And after some generations, they became God themselves. So, similarly, here also, the man of self realization is a moving temple of God. Therefore, that also can be taken up for in the puja room. We can keep our teacher's photo and concentrate on that. But the point here is we may sometimes cross our limits of giving too much attention to the physical form. When by looking at the physical form, when we are reminded of its qualities, mental qualities, intellectual peculiarities, of its presentation of thoughts, ideas, etc., then it is all right. But if we really concentrate too much on the physical aspects of it, maybe you will not be able to proceed further from the physical perception to mental conception and then to intellectual understanding behind that. So all that gradual progressing in this japa technique will not be then possible. So here we can say that in case we require a 3D, then we can have the teacher himself. It is, we have already seen this, that it is the attitude, my attitude to see someone else as greater than me, knows more than me, and he is able to guide so much that my agitated mind becomes peaceful. All my confusions regarding questions are resolved without answering or with answering. All this, when I match and agree, appreciate, then that can also, Guru Upasana also can become effective. So, that is a very secondary point, whether it is a God or a God man or the teacher. What is important is what you perceive, you must be able to conceive without the help of perception. Today, to have the taste of mango, etc., you don't need to physically see the mango. You can imagine. You need not wait till the season comes. At any season, you can conceive of, when you think of mango, you can remember the taste that you have enjoyed earlier, etc. So likewise, when you, when the name is uttered, entire concept must be very clear with the mind. So this would like to say that these are the measurements. We are able to measure the kind of concentration. So when it is full, we are qualified to undertake the contemplation upon formless divinity. This is the, we can say in short, that was about the 13th para. Any further contributions? All these difficulties we have to resolve. If movie is useful, we can see the movie. What is important is our attitude. So here our attention should not be who is acting, what is his role, that is more important. So the role of Rama or Krishna, if we can see in the movie and concentrate our attention as if he is Lord Krishna himself, then there is no harm. But if that reminds you of the actor, then likely to get distracted. So the attitude becomes important. What bhava you are having is very important. So Guru Bhava itself means that someone is greater than me, someone knows more than me, so someone has more qualities than me. This when I appreciate, then I follow. This attitude of following, attitude of being humble towards him, or attitude of trying to understand what he's trying to teach, all this will be then the progressive gains for the secret. This is what we can say about the 13th para. Now we'll proceed to the next one. Hope the discussion is covered. If there is anything balanced, please raise the point. Now I read the 14th para. A mala generally consists of 108 beads strung together in a single cone with a little space left between the beads. One of the beads protruding out is called the meru. At each chanting of the mantra, a bead is turned. So long as the mind is chanting the mantra, the telling of the beads continues. But when the mind strays away to other realms, the movement of the mala stops. This causes a jerk of which the practitioner becomes aware and pulls the mind back into the track of continuous chanting. Very important points are further added here. Mala generally consists of 108 beads, means there are malas of 54 beads or malas of 27 beads. So 50%, 25% of the number. Instead of 108, if it is the length is too much for our handling, then we can have the 54. But one mala means 108. And counting by that is not 108. Counting is only 100. When you say 20 mala, it is 2000 times. It is not 108 into 20. So for counting purpose, it is 100. For normal use, it is 108. Generally, when it is said, so that is one. And otherwise, for the handy purpose, for your different requirements, if you want less number of bits, then there could be the half of that, and that is 54 or 27, quarter of that. So that is generally consists of 108 bits. Then with a little space between two beats is very, very important. They should not be attached to each other. There should be a space between two successive beats. Either it is provided by the string having a knot, or suppose if it is through a silver thread, then the silver thread will have some knot-like thing by which the space will be created between two beads. The idea is that in the beginning, we'll be concentrating our efforts on the mantra, which is counted on the bead. We are concerned with the meaning of the mantra, etc. And two successful beads will only have a repetition of the same mantra. But a time must come when we have sufficiently concentrated on that and mind is fully trained to chant the name of the Lord or that mantra japa, then our attention should be shifted from the beads and chanting 2, the gap between two successive chants. Now the silver thread which passes through the beads and holding the mala, that silver thread will have a shine between two beads. This shine indicates that there is some reality sustaining them all. Sutre Maniganaha Iva is the Lord himself is describing. I am the thread among the in the mala, and the beads may be like in a necklace. There are smaller beads, there are larger beads, they are maybe of different colors, different sizes, but all of them are strung with one common thread, and therefore it gives a sense of sustenance, and also it looks like an ornament. It decorates the mala as such. Therefore, it has the added advantage. But this sustaining thread is most important. If the thread is broken, the beads will go haywire. They will be, they will not be together like a mala. So the thread is more important than the beads. Similarly, the thoughts are like the beads. Now, at present, we have thousands of thoughts related to the world of objects. And these objects are so many, therefore thoughts are so many. We are offering an alternative to this so many thoughts as only one thought of Lord Rama and repeat it. Now when the mind is set on this word, one word, then let the mind continue the japa, but my attention will be when there is a gap between two successive chants or japa. When I said Ram, it is over, then there is a gap. Now my attention will be concentrated on the gap between two successive chants. What is there in the gap? There is no thought. The earlier thought has been already chanted. The next thought is to be chanted. It is the same, but it is to be chanted. Now before this, in between these two chants, there is no thought. There is silence. And this silence is indicated by the gap. Ordinarily by a simple word, gap. Otherwise, if it is, threaded with silver or golden, then there will be a shine between two beads. That shine represents consciousness. Beads represent thoughts. Therefore, once we have concentrated on the thought with the help of thought of the Lord, then allow the mind to continue the chanting of this, and you pay your attention to when there is a gap. In the gap, there is no thought, there is only silence. Concentrating on this silence is actually discovering the goal, attaining the goal. Thought is not the goal. The state of thoughtlessness is the goal. And therefore, the gap between two thoughts is no thought. And this no thought condition is an absence of thought, is a presence of pure consciousness. When the consciousness is also present when thought is there, but it appears to be conditioned consciousness with thought. Without thought, it is pure consciousness. So then we discover our identity with pure consciousness. So Japa Yoga by itself is capable of leading us to the ultimate, and that is why it is one of the vibhuti, as Lord has said, Yajnanam Japa Yajnaosmi. So this kind of surrender, prostration, that will decide the mental attitude. Then the mind is engaged in the chanting of the Japa mantra, that will contribute to concentration of the mind. We have seen what is the criterion for concentration. When one is able to conceive without the help of the gross object, then the concentration level is satisfactory. With this concentration, now let the mind continue the japa, and my attention will be when one chanting is over and another chanting is yet to begin. The gap in between, there is no thought, and no thought condition is conducive for me to attain my true nature. This is the secret why it is said that there should be a gap between two beats, a little space left between two beats, between the beats. So this space is also to be utilized by the seeker, not immediately. If you think right now, it won't mean anything. But the chanting of the japa will help us get rid of several thousands of thoughts related to the world of objects. We are now one thought of the Lord is going to destroy several thoughts, so many thoughts of objects while doing the japa. So that is alternative for that. Once you have concentrated on this by mental conception also, then let that mind continue, and the seeker's attention is now concentrated on the gap between two beats, and that gap represents a thoughtless state where the mind minus thought, we have already seen the equation, mind minus thought is equal to pure consciousness. Pure consciousness plus thought is equal to mind. But at this moment, it is not just the thought of the Lord. At this moment, there are several thoughts related to the world of objects, or sankalpa vikalpas of the mind, or the schemes for happiness by the intellect. They are all engaged with the world outside. So in Japa Yoga, what we are trying to do is first give an alternative thought to the against the several thoughts related to the world of objects. This thought, when concentrated, will give us a little leisure for the seeker to turn his attention towards the gap between two successive chants. And that gap represents the absence of the chant, the presence of silence. That silence is the nature of the self. So the various ideas are concerned with the beads as well as the gap between two beads. And that is in short suggested by Swamiji here, that strung together in a single cone with a little space left between the beads. One of the beads protruding out is called Meru, and we have seen in our earlier paragraph that this is not to be crossed. So after 108th name on the Meru, 109th name should not be the next, but turn the mala, and it must be registered on where we have counted 107th name. So that will be the 109th or the first name of the second mala. So this is that was about Meru. Then it is said further, very important checkpoint. Here check test is given, whether your mind is with what you are doing now or it is wandering away. The moment mind goes away from the japa mala will stop automatically. Moment it stops, you will be immediately shaken up, and you will be aware that, I am with the mind and mind is with the world of OET. So this is a check for handling the mala while doing the japa. Here it is said, a very important statement. So long as the mind is chanting the mantra, the telling of the beads continues. But when the mind strays away to other realms, the moment of the mala stops. Very important statement. It is a check for mind, whether it is here with us or is gone out wandering. So this check is given. Therefore, that use of mala is important in the beginning. Then the second one is, this causes a jerk of which the practitioner becomes aware and pulls the mind back into the track of continuous chanting. Let's say here there are 2-3 points detailing about the Japa mala, and when finally, so long as you are with the Japa chanting, mala will continue, turning the beats will continue. The moment your mind goes away, the mala will stop. And that will give you a jerk or indication that your mind is not in the place. It has left its place and gone out. So these 2-3 points were suggested. So here another point. So this is a important statement, 14.1. So long as the mind is chanting the mantra, the telling of the beads continues. This statement is important. Oh, this is 14th para. Or is there anything important for that?
Also, this is chanting with mala, and we also know that writing the japa, likhita japa. So that is also helpful.
That is more helpful for concentrating the mind, because in chanting you may be expert in chanting and thinking something else, but here while writing, if you think something else, the pen will stop. A pen cannot write further. So therefore it is more assuring, and Swamiji recommends Likhita Japa personally, and he has for every new temple that he has raised or some renovation of the temple he has done, he has, before the consecration of the idol, main idol, at the base of that, he has invited the pages of Likhita Japa from the seekers, and he has done that. He has put it at the base of the idol, and that has given more strength to the idol. But plus, the devotees, by their faith in the idol, will make it further stronger and effective. So the Likhita Japa is definitely a better way than chanting the mantra mentally. Write down, because in writing the mental attention is a must. If that is not there, we will not be able to write, or we'll write something with mistakes. Anyone else? Okay, we'll proceed to the 15th para. Japa is an easy method for men like us, kicked about and bullied by the world without and within. Start today, right now. There is no moment more sacred or auspicious as here and now for spiritual practice. Very short para, but very important. Japa is an easy method for men like us. Very good comment. Why? What are these men? What is the speciality of these men? These men are sometimes kicked by the situation, and when the situation is very easy and simple, they bully over. They bully over somebody else. So sometimes we are bullied over, or we, the two ways. That one thing is that sometimes the situation gives us a jerk, and sometimes when the situation is very easy to handle, we give the jerk to the situation and disturb the people therein. For such people, the japa is an easy method. very important for discussion. How does Swamiji correlate the dealing with the situation according to it being difficult or easy? Accordingly, we have our access, and whether situation shakes us or we jerk the situation, whatever it is, we are the people who are going through or subject to these kind of things in the situation, and for us the japa is an easy method. How do you correlate this? We think the practice of japa is very simple, etc. is all right, but simple for whom? For people like us, who are sometimes pushed, sometimes jostled, sometimes we are kicked by the situation, sometimes we become arrogant and bullied over the people there in the situation when the situation is very easy to handle. So this kind of for people, this japa is a very simple thing.
In both the ways, whether a situation is stronger or we are stronger, the mind is agitated. That is first thing. So for agitated mind to get some peace, this is the method. That is one of the thing which is mentioned over here. And in both the situations, we are doing something, means activity is going on. So we cannot keep quiet without activity. So whether the mind is hurt because of the situation or whether the mind is agitated because we are more powerful, but there is habit of acting, doing something or the other, then also this is very easy because we have to do something over there. We have to prepare, we have to chant, we have to handle the mala. So for people like us who cannot keep quiet, then physically also we are engaged, and psychologically or mentally also, if we are hurt, then it will act as a balm for our mind. And if we are very, very agitated, then it will calm the mind. So from all the perspective, this is fine. And we are not too seriously thinking also in this, like in Vedanta. So now thinking about the Lord, chanting the name. So this is preliminary, suitable for all. Swamiji means.
That's a good contribution. Anyone else who would like to present his views? Now, what is so when the situation is tough, you become a bit humble. When the situation is very easy, you become arrogant. Try to prove yourself. So, what we are applying it to this, for us, the Japa Yoga is very simple. Is there anything that provides in the Japa Yoga where the mind can become humble?
Yes, because the power of Lord, when we consider, then we are nothing in front of that. So even if we want support, mental support, we can turn towards the Lord. And even if we need courage, then that also we can gather from that. So basically, to find, if someone is finding support, then the Lord is the most powerful person. So we can go towards Lord to get support. And if we are,
but we cannot go like demanding his support, etc. We have to be humble.
yes.
Request. Is there any indication that you find in the Japa Yoga, Mantra Japa?
That Namaha word is there.
Very good.
Tells us.
Yes. Namaha has got a sense of surrender. So the kind of a prayerful disposition of mind, the humble disposition, and the sense of surrender to the Lord. So this is provided, and otherwise we can rule over the mind and get the mind as it is. We have read in the earlier paragraph also, which causes a jerk, which the practitioner becomes aware and pulls the mind back into the track. Both ways, mind is humble to the idol or the mantra, content of the mantra, but at the same time, this mantra chanting or japa is also used to check whether the mind itself is present or absent, whether it is concentrated or not able to concentrate. It will also check that. So both sides of it, how the method is simple, in a sense it tackles both kinds of mind. It trains the mind to be humble and to surrender to the Lord. And at the same time, the presence of mind, the concentration of mind, etc., is also checked by the same japa technique. So this is a both way very effective tool.
And we have seen situations like in recent situation, like all Maratha people, that is Mavla, Shivaji Maharaj people, just by taking Lord's name, they were getting inspiration.
Yes.
Before fighting, they were shouting the name of Lord, Har Har Mahadev. And the name itself was giving power to them, inspiration to them. Or we have seen Hanuman also. So the same name when gives power also when we are or we want to be, we want to have upper hand over the situation to gather the courage or like that. So here one thing when we need to be humble, and other thing the same thing gives us power also.
So invoking the power in us for the right purpose. It is to rule over the enemies which are persecuting us, and so that kind of power is required. When required, this Nama Japa has provided that inspiration also. So at one, the Lord is all powerful, and therefore we can always get the power by chanting His name. We'll get that power also invoked in us, and that will help us fight against all low tendencies and false values within and without us. This is one aspect of it, we say in our pledge. And the second thing is the sense of concentration, ability to conceive the details of the deity, etc. So both ways it is useful. So the really Swamiji's examples are very beautiful. So here it is simple, is a way Swamiji has presented in one sentence that japa is an easy method for men like us, kicked about and bullied by the world without and within. So the word without and word within, in both the words, sometimes the situations are difficult for us to handle, sometimes they are very easy to handle. And accordingly we arrogate. And this kind of thing, to give a check to this, is the japa technique. So in case it gives us powers, then not to arrogate those powers, but to be humble and use the powers in protecting the good. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya. These are the three purposes for which the Lord descends. And Lord doesn't have to descend necessarily, so long as the good people are able to conduct their activities. All the good activities are being conducted without any problem. In Ramayana, the Rakshasas used to become an obstacle in conducting yajnas. Vishwamitra, therefore, he has sought the help of Rama. Even when he was a young man, he knew that being a descendant of the Lord, he is capable of killing these Rakshasas, etc., during the yajna to protect the yajna, etc. Therefore, this is the one aspect that is discussed here, the power aspect. When you are using the power for the good purpose, the Lord is with us. If you are not using it for the good purpose but for the selfish purpose, then the Lord will not associate or help you, and then you will have to pay the price for that. So likewise, the two sense, if you see in the next para, the list of mantras that are given there, Vedantic and Puranic. So in Puranic mantras, their Namaha has come in almost all of them. Namaha or Jaya. These are the two words which keeps us humble, which keeps us in a right place. And then we can recognize the greatness of the Lord, the power of the Lord itself. All powerful, omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. This Lord, which is the deity for our upasana. So, considering that, we'll see both ways. It offers us our mind to be humble, and at the same time, it also offers us to mind to build up the powers of concentration. So both ways, it is very useful. Simple and useful, effective. So that was our 15th para. Now we are proceeding to 16th one. Any one of the following mantras can be taken up according to taste. Taste means that is what is called as Ishta Mantra. Whatever has enchanting effect on you, whatever inspires you, whatever your mind takes to it, they are the Ishta Mantra for that. So according to taste. Then Vedantic mantras are listed. Tattvamasi, that thou art. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. I am Atma Brahman, this self is Brahman. Shivoham, Shivoham, I am Shiva, auspicious. These are Vedantic mantras. Then Puranic mantras, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Shri Shanmukhaya Namaha, Om Shri Ramachandraya Namaha, Om Shri Lakshmyai Namaha. So these are the Puranic mantras. So in all these mantras, either there is a victory to the Lord, Jaya, or on the part of the devotee, it is a surrender to the Lord, Namaha or Jaya. These are the two words very important in the mantra. Let's say Sri Rama, Jai Rama, Jai Jai Ram. Thrice we are saying Sri Rama, Jaya, Jaya Rama, Jaya Rama. So 3 times, hey Rama, you alone be victorious. May you be ever victorious. This is the meaning of that. So it has an implication. May I be always defeated. This is the beauty of that mantra, which we conveniently doesn't strike us, and we say, oh, there is nothing harm in saying somebody's victory to them. But the point is here, every time the ego tries to assert and says that whatever I say should happen, and here the devotee says implied. He says, may I be defeated all the time, and may you win over every time. May your sankalpa wins over all the time. And my sankalpas, like man proposes and God disposes, Similarly, the egoistic sankalpas must be defeated. So may I be defeated all the time, and may you be winning over every time. So this kind of jaya. And the other one is namaha, where the sense of the surrender is suggested. So both the attitudes are covered in this Quranic Mantras. In case of Vedantic Mantras, you will find there are every Upanishad has got some Mahavakya, which indicates the essential oneness between the Jiva and the Brahman. But here, those four representative, out of that, the one which is in Rigveda, Prajnanamanandam Brahma, is not referred. Instead of that, the Shiva's one, Shivoham, Shivoham is referred. 3 Mahavakyas and 1 Shivoham, Shivoham. So this is suggested for the Japa, mainly with a provision that when mind is concentrated, it has a continuous scope for contemplation also, the meditation also, so that the Mahavakyas also will hold good. Here, the Prajnanam Brahma is not referred. I don't know if you can find out why, because it's not a big thing. Instead of another one also could have been listed, but it is not listed. Prajnanam is consciousness. Consciousness is Brahman. Now this is not referred. Whereas all other things are referred. That thou art, that Brahman you are. Then Aham Brahmasmi, I am that Brahman. And the third one is I am Atma Brahma. So this self is Brahman. Whereas the consciousness is Brahman is not referred.
Is it because it's a statement of indication rather than a statement of reference, Guruji?
Statement of reference when you say?
I am Atma Brahma. It is pointing to something. Aham Brahmasmi. Tat Tvam Asit. So there is a reference. So there is the concept which is.
So I am here. I am means the closest thing.
Correct.
I am.
So
I am
in
Atma.
in all the 3 Mahavakyas, there is a reference to who it is being equated to. But Prajnanam Anandam Brahma is not being indicated to anybody, so it cannot be meditated over. Because then I would assume that even Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma can't be meditated over for the same reason.
So cannot be taken up for meditation.
For the same reason. Because it is more of a definition rather than an indication.
Acha. Okay. The comment is sustained for the time being. Subject to discussion. If anyone would like to discuss further. Here, in all the 3 Mahavakyas, Aham, Atma, these are the 2 words used for Jiva, which is the true nature. The Aham which continuously present in all the 3 states. Spurad Atma Tattvam. Spurad, that Aham Spuran is continuous. And there is no moment where the Aham is not present. So this Aham represents the ever-present reality of the self. Aham represents, I am Atma. Aham stands for Atma. And we have discussed this several times. Self is equal to I. When you are withdrawing your check, through check when you are withdrawing your money, you write self. If you want to pay to bank, you write yourself. So the self indicates I-ness. So I amness. Okay. So now this self here, I am Atma, the self is indicated. Aham, the self is indicated. Shivoham, self is indicated. And its oneness with the ultimate reality, that is Shivam or Brahman. And Tat is the pronoun which is indicative of Brahman. Always used for, Tat is always used for Brahman. Therefore, they indicate the ultimate truth and the present reality in us. So both are equated, they are one. Whereas the consciousness is Brahman is not listed. It is just a, because it is not listed, we are opening up that point for discussion. Consciousness can go back to awareness and can go up to the pure knowledge level. And pure knowledge is represented by Maya, and Maya is that which is not, therefore it cannot be counted. But the Aham represents the self, which is of the nature of Sat. Satchit Atma, when we say, there the Chit aspect we are not counting, Sat aspect we are counting. And the Sat aspect is of course equal to one with the ultimate truth, Brahman. So here the Atma is the word, Shiva is the Aham and Atma. These are the two words which are indicative of the self and which is one with Brahman, the ultimate truth. So, whereas the consciousness is not mentioned, so maybe with this idea that it refers to Maya. So Jiva is of the nature of Maya Shakti, and Maya Shakti is not independent of Brahman. Therefore, it's not counted for the contemplative exercise. We can say, we can think like this. It is not, it's an open discussion, it's an open to reflection. There is no hard and fast rule. Swamiji has mentioned only 3 out of 4 common Mahavakyas, each representing from each Veda, 4 Vedas, so 4 Mahavakyas are selected. In Puranic Mantras, now Swamiji takes up in the 17th para an example. Take any one mantra and how it will help us in spiritual progress. So now 17th para begins with that. Shall we proceed with that, or anything else is balanced to be discussed? In 16th para, it's a list of Vedantic mantras and not Puranic, Pauranic mantras. PAU is required. Pauranic mantras and Vedantic mantras. So there is a classification done. The selected from the literature. Puranas is the literature and Vedas is the literature. So in Vedas, the end portion is called Vedanta, that is equal to Upanishads. So they are collected from Upanishadic literature, and here Puranic literature. There are 18 Puranas and 18 sub-Puranas. So from them, the various deities are selected. Here it is selected, there could be many more also. So Om Namo Narayana, etc. Now 17th one, Swamiji takes one for example as a typical application. Let us now take a typical mantra, Om Namo Narayanaya. My prostrations unto Narayana, and try to discover the attitude of surrender implied in it. Prostration is not merely a physical act of bowing, but is a conscious act of discovering the greater in us and seeking our identity with it. To tune ourselves with the better or the nobler, and thereby gathering unto ourselves the very qualities and greatness of the higher is true prostration. Two beautiful definitions of the prostration or surrender are given, and that's why this para is very important. So, Om Namo Narayanaya. So, Namaha is the word which is indicative of surrender, the attitude of surrender implied. This is one aspect. Narayana, we can say Nara is one word, Ayana is another word. Ayana is a house, a place of staying, and Nara is a group of human beings, group of people. Naranam Samudayaha Samuhaha is Naraha. Naraha Ayanam Yasya. So that which is the home for the Lord. And what is the home for the Lord? The congregation. When people come together and do spiritual sadhana. So all congregational spiritual sadhanas are more effective than individual sadhana. Therefore, we have now like congregational chanting of Gita. Similarly, for Japa also there can be a congregational chanting of Japa mantra. And for meditation also, it is when we say Trayambakam Yajamahe, Yajamahe is plural. Yaje is singular. Yajamahe. Similarly, in Gayatri Mantra, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi is plural. We all meditate. So these congregational spiritual practices are more effective for the individual. He gets the charged atmosphere benefit, and also it is supported by so many seekers on the same line of thinking. Though he himself should consider that he alone is there in the room, in the hall. He should not look here and there how many have come, who has been present and who is absent. Should not be concerned with that, but the effect he will enjoy. The benefits of being congregational spiritual practice is beneficial to each individual gathered there. So the effect of congregational is always there. Therefore, Narayana is present wherever there are congregational efforts of spiritual practices. This is a sure shot. Like in Ramayana, wherever the Ramayana Katha is going on, the Hanuman is supposed to be present. He is Chiranjeev. Likewise, wherever the spiritual practices are going in congregation, there Narayana is present. So the word Narayana itself is a very meaningful word. Now prostrations to him who is present in the hearts of all. Om Namo Narayanaya. And the Om is such a powerful word. It is the discovery of R&D done by Rishis for years and discovered one sound which is free from any modification. Om is a sound which is not subject to modification. In Sanskrit, the word cannot be declined also. Like Ramaha, Ramau, Ramaha, Ramaha. Similarly, the Om cannot be worked or declined like that. So therefore, it is called avikari. No vikrutis are possible in that. There are no vibhaktis which can split it into different levels. No vibhaktis or no pratyayas for that. Om is Om. So this sound, therefore the Om itself is a power. And the mantra gets more power when we add Om to any mantra. So here you will find Swamiji has added Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Shri Rama Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Shri Shanmukhaya Namaha, Om Shri Ramachandraya Namaha, Om Shri Lakshmi Namaha. Here Lakshmi is not the one who is dropping coins continuously. It is the spiritual wealth. She is full of that wealth. And Sapadi Lakshmi will indicate those who are following the Devi as their Kula Devata or Upasana, Upasya. So one Shri Lakshmi Namaha. Om Shri Lakshmi Namaha. Now here Swamiji has taken one word, one as Om Namo Narayanaya, and we have read that para, but we'll discuss further next time. For the time being, we'll stop here. And now, any announcement, please make the announcement before we conclude pledge and Shantipat. We stand as one family, bound to each other with love and respect. We serve as an army, courageous and disciplined, ever ready to fight against all low tendencies and false values within and without us. We live honestly the noble life of sacrifice and service, producing more than what we consume and giving more than what we take. We seek the Lord's grace to keep us on the path of virtue, courage, and wisdom. May thy grace and blessing flow through us to the world around us. We believe that the service of our country is the service of the Lord of Lords, and devotion to the people is the devotion to the Supreme Self. We know our responsibilities. Give us the ability and courage to fulfill them. Om Tat Sat. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. Sarve santu niramaya. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Ma kasyid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityor Ma Mritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Hari Om,
Hari Om,
everybody.
sir.